Hello, and welcome again to my Inspirational Ingrid channel. I hope you're all well. And so this evening, my video is actually called Let's Talk About Jehosheba. Let's talk about Jehosheba. And as I always say before I start my videos, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. So guys, if you have been watching my current series and my current videos, I have been doing a series and a walk through the Bible of women in the Bible, and how their lives back then reflect our lives today. And so I started in the beginning of year with Eve, Sarah, Hagar, etc., etc. I've got Rebecca, Tamar, Miriam, Deborah, Hannah. I've got Bathsheba, Abishag, Samson's mother, Delilah. I've got the Queen of Sheba. I've got the Queen Esther. I've actually got Shira. And last week I did a video on Makkah. So there are lots and lots of videos that I've done. Like I said, this week is week 30, episode 30, that I'm actually talking about Jehosheba. Now, Jehosheba is not actually well known really in the Bible. And that's another reason that I actually like doing the stories of women that are not actually spoken about much. I'm kind of digging them out as well, because everybody knows all the famous women in the Bible, but some of the other ones we're not really, sure of, or we don't really know much about them. So it's really nice to actually speak about them and tell you what their backstory is. So like I said, we're going to actually talk about Jehosheba today. And Jehosheba is actually in two scriptures. She's actually found in 2 Kings chapter 11, and also 2 Chronicles chapters 22 and 23. All right. So who is Jehosheba? Jehosheba is a young, beautiful Israelite woman. She's actually a princess. She comes from royalty. Yeah, she comes from royalty. She is the daughter of King Jeroham. I can't even say it. And she's also the brother to King Azariah. And she was later married to the priest called Jehosheba. Okay. And so in Hebrew, Jehosheba means Yahweh is an oath, or Jehovah is my oath. The name combines in Hebrew means Yahweh and Jehovah, and it also means sworn and oath. And this also signifies a deep commitment to faith and a belief that God is faithful to his promises. And, her name will show the testament to her life, whether her name means Yahweh and Jehovah, whether it means oath, whether it means oath, a sworn oath. So you will actually see for yourselves if Jehosheba actually lives up to her name, So, however, in this story, Father King I can't even say it, Jeroham, there's a lot of Jerah here. Actually, it looks like she's actually called after him, isn't it? Almost. His name is Jeroham, King Jeroham, and she's called Jehosheba. So almost similar. So anyway, King Jeroham, he passes away, okay? And then her brother, King Azariah, actually rules for a very short period as well. But sadly, he passes away too. So both kings did evil in the eyes of the Lord, hence their very short lives. They no longer served the Lord their God. They started to worship idols and false gods, and therefore their lives were actually cut short. But Jehosheba married a priest called Jehoiada, and her life changed dramatically because she started to follow the one true God, Jehovah, the Yahweh. This is who she started to follow, and this is how her life changed in such a way. So now, in the life and the story of Jehosheba, there are four main characters that I'm actually going to speak about. There's Queen Athaliah, which is a stepmother that was married to her dad. And there's Jehoiada, the priest, which is her husband. There's Joash, her nephew, who actually becomes the king. And there is Jehosheba herself. So like I said, she's found in 2 Kings chapter 11 and 2 Chronicles chapters 22 and 23. So let's have a look first at 2 Kings chapter 11, verses 1 to 3. And it's actually called Athaliah reigns over Judah. Athaliah reigns over Judah. Now, when Athaliah, Uzziah's mother, saw that her son was dead, she set about to destroy all the royal family. But Jehosheba, King Jeroham's daughter, Uzziah's sister, took Joash, son of Azariah, and stole him away from among the king's children who were about to be killed. She put him and his nurse in a bedroom. Thus she hid him from Athaliah so that he was not killed, and he remained with her 6 years, hidden in the house of the Lord, while Athaliah reigned over the land. So that's in Kings. And let's have a look at 2 Chronicles chapter 22, verses 11 to 12. And it says, but Jehosheba, the daughter of King Jeroham, took Joash, son of Azariah, and stole him away from among the royal princes who were about to be murdered, and put him and his nurse in a bedroom. Because Jehosheba, the daughter of King Jeroham and wife of the priest Jehoiada, was Uzziah's sister, she hid the child from Athaliah. I can't even say it now. Queen Athaliah. Queen Athaliah. I'm getting mixed up now. These names are really hard to say, so bear with me. Give me a round of applause if you think I'm doing well. Athaliah. So she could not kill him. He remained hidden with them at the temple of God for 6 years, while Athaliah ruled the land. So I told you it was hard, really hard. It's like a tongue twister, right? So Jehosheba, see, I'm doing it again. Bear with me, guys. Jehosheba was a key figure who saved the life of her nephew Joash after the death of her brother King Azariah of Judah. Queen Athaliah, Uzziah's mother, ordered the massacre of all the royal family after her. So basically, she killed all the young princes that were going to be in line after her son, King Azariah. She killed everyone. She even killed Jehosheba's son as well, because he was also in line to become king. This is how wicked Queen Athaliah was. She's massacring the whole royal lineage. The whole royal lineage. How evil is Queen Athaliah? She is so evil. But like I said, Princess Jehosheba hid her nephew, Prince Joash, in God's temple for 6 years. And so that her husband, Jehoiada, the priest, was going to be able to crown Prince Joash later on in his life by saving the Davidic line or lineage, which was a fulfillment of God's promise. So Princess Jehosheba and her husband, the priest Jehoiada, actually hid Prince Joash, hid him, so that he could later on become king. All right. So I hope you're actually with me. And please excuse me, because these names are really hard, guys. Really hard for me today. Right. So now I'm going to have a look at 2 Chronicles chapter 23. And this goes from verses 1 to 21. But I'm actually going to just speak through some of it and maybe take a break and then speak again. All right. So please bear with me, because these words are really hard. Right. It says, in the 7th year, Jehoiada showed his strength, and he made a covenant with the commandment of units of 100. Azariah, son of Jeroham, and Ishmael, son of Jehanan, Azariah, son of Obed, Maaseiah, son of Adiah, and Elishaphat, son of Zikri. They went throughout Judah and gathered the Levites and the heads of the Israelite families from all the towns. And when they came to Jerusalem, the whole assembly made a covenant with the king at the temple of God. Jehoiada said to them, "The king's son shall reign, as the Lord promised concerning the descendants of David. Now this is what you are to do. A third of the priests and the Levites who are going on duty on the Sabbath are to keep watch at the doors. A third of you at the royal palace, and a third at the foundation gate, and all the others are to be in the courtyard of the temple of the Lord. No one is to enter the temple of the Lord except the priests and the Levites on duty. They may enter because they are consecrated, but all the others are to observe the Lord's command not to enter. The Levites are to station themselves around the king, each with a weapon in hand, and anyone who enters the temple is to be put to death. Stay close to the king wherever he goes." So priest Jehoiada orders, the leaders of the Israelites and the Levite priests to protect Prince Joash so that he can become king. No one is to enter the city gates. No one is to enter the temple of the Lord. No one is to be near Prince Joash. Anyone that enters will be killed by the leaders of the Israelites and also the Levite priests. This is how much protection Prince Joash has. Wherever he goes, he is to be guarded. He is to be guarded. So no harm is to come to Prince Joash. He was highly protected, and he was within the temple, the God's temple walls. That's where he was stationed, okay? So if anyone had protection, this prince really had protection from God. And while the prince was in the temple of God, he was actually shown how to grow up and how to become a good king. This is what was happening, guys. This is what was happening, right? So let's have a look. Let's carry on. So let's go down. Okay. It says in verse 9 that then he gave the commanders of units of 100 the spears and large and small shields that had belonged to King David and that were in the temple of God. He stationed all the men, each with his weapon in his hand, around the king, near the altar and the temple, from the south side to the north side of the temple. Jehoiada and his sons brought out the king's son and put a crown on him. They presented him with a copy of the covenant and proclaimed him king. They anointed him and shouted, "Long live the king!" And when Athaliah heard the noise of the people running and cheering the king, she went to them at the temple of the Lord. She looked, and there was the king standing by his pillar at the entrance. The officers and the trumpeters were beside the king, and all the people of the land were rejoicing and blowing trumpets, and musicians with their instruments were leading the praises. Then Athaliah tore her robes and shouted, "Treason! Treason!" Jehoiada the priest sent out the commanders of units of 100 who were in charge of the troops and said to them, "Bring her out between the ranks and put to the sword anyone who follows her." For the priest had said, "Do not put her to death at the temple of the Lord." So they seized her as she reached the entrance of the horse gate on the palace grounds, and there they put her to death. So now, Queen Athaliah does not realize for 6 years that Prince Joash, her grandson, was actually protected in the temple of God for 6 years. Princess Jehosheba and her husband, priest Jehoiada, protected him for 6 years. Prince Joash had his own nurse to look after him in the temple of God for 6 years. And Queen Athaliah did not know about it. She did not even know that he was still alive. She thought that he had also been murdered along with the other princes. But to her shock and amazement, Prince Joash was still alive. Praise be to God. This means that the Davidic line or the Davidic lineage of David, King David, continues. And so as Queen Athaliah was reigning the city of Judah, evilly, wickedly, worshipping idols and worshipping false gods, they put her to death. They actually put her to death. So she actually received what she threw out. Remember, she killed all these princes that were in line so that she could rule herself. But now she has been killed by the same sword that she drew on her own grandchildren. Her own grandchildren. What a wicked grandmother, you could say. What a wicked grandmother she was. Like we hear about stories of all these evil women in the Bible, but to, kill your own grandsons so that they can't continue the lineage of David. This is terrible. Just so that you could actually rule and, worship false gods and idols. Gods that don't even speak back. Gods that can't even save you and rescue you. This is what she was doing. And if you can remember, her husband served these gods. And even her own son, King Azariah, he also served these false gods too. So all of them died. But guess what? Prince Joash lived. He lived. And now he has been anointed king. King of Israel, King of Judah. Okay, so this is amazing, guys. This is actually amazing, yeah? And so it continues, right? It continued. What did Jehoiada do? What did the priest Jehoiada do? He made a covenant to all the people in the land and all the Lord's people, all the king's people, that all the false gods of Baal were going to be torn down. They were smashed to pieces. The altars were smashed. Yeah. And they also killed one of the priests that was called Matan that served the Baal in front of these altars. Yeah. Everything was smashed to pieces. Everything. And so now they could present burnt offerings to God. That was written in the law of Moses. So they went back to their God. The land went back to serve their God, the God of Israel, the God of Judah. Yeah, the God of Moses. They now began to study the law of Moses as it was before. And it took the grandson, Prince Joash, who is now king, to serve God. So I don't know if you remember my story last week, which was actually called Let's Talk About Makkah. This is a very similar story. And I was saying to God, this week, I don't know the woman to speak about. And isn't it amazing that he found me, Princess Jehosheba, right? Jehosheba, to talk about. Because it actually continues from last week when we was talking about Makkah. Because Makkah was also in the royal lineage. And here we have, Princess Jehosheba, and she also is in the royal lineage. Yeah. And she saves her nephew so he can become king. And now King Joash is serving and worshipping God. He's taking out all of the false gods out of the city, burning them to pieces. And now they're giving burnt sacrifice and offerings to God, the Lord their God. This is amazing, guys. And I have to say, God works in mysterious ways because, like I said, I didn't know who to talk about. And God gave me the story of Jehosheba. I just love God sometimes because he just does such amazing and miraculous things in our lives. And like I said, I only knew what to do this morning. In actual fact, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was so busy this week, because I had so much other things going on and so much other things to complete. Hence me not actually coming online yesterday. And I've come online already this morning or this afternoon. But here I am with a message from God, and I have Jehosheba, who was much like the story of Makkah last week. If no one knows that God is amazing, honestly, I have to tell you guys, the Lord works in mysterious ways. In mysterious way. He helped me out today. I was so busy, I didn't know what to do. I really did not. And honestly, truthfully, hand on my heart, I did not know who to talk about today. I was thinking, should I now go to the New Testament? But no, in the Old Testament, there's still hidden women. There's still a lot of hidden women, which I will try to complete before I move on to the New Testament women in the Bible. Okay, guys? So I hope you're still with me. Right. So it's continuing. So now the people in the land are rejoicing and they are singing. Everything that was unclean, right, has been burnt to the ground. Burnt to the ground. Yeah. So now all the nobles of the land, all the commanders, right, of the land, and the rulers of the people, yeah, of the land, and the king are all in the temple of God. Yeah, they're in the palace, they're in the upper gates. The king is now seated on the royal throne, guys. And all the people are still shouting, praise be to God. Yeah, because Queen Athaliah, the one that was so evil, has now been slain by the same sword. By the same sword, guys. So it's almost like justice has been served to Queen Athaliah. Queen Athaliah. So, King Joash has restored the city back to its spiritual roots by serving and worshipping the God of Israel, something that his father and his grandfather and his grandmother strayed away from. Jehosheba saved her nephew and the bloodline of King David, which roots make their way all the way to the Messiah, guys, Jesus Christ himself. This is the lineage. Jesus Christ, the lineage. So the story is one of courage and bravery by a young princess who took her faith and her belief seriously in realizing that she had to protect the prophecy of God. Her nephew, King Joash, would fulfill that prophecy. And Jehosheba played a very, very important role, a part, right, that no one understood. But she understood her mission when others didn't. She hid this baby boy in God's temple for 6 years without him being seen or heard, so that the royal line of David could go on. This is a fantastic story. And I didn't really know about this story, guys. I read the Bible all the time. And sometimes you just go, yeah. You go through it. You read the Chronicles. You read how all the queens and the kings and, you know, they pass on the bloodline. But sometimes you really do skip it. Sometimes you have to dig a little bit deeper and go, wow. This is an amazing story. I'm so glad, guys, that God made me do this mission this year. 2025, I'm talking about all these amazing women. You know, all these amazing women. And they really do inspire me. I'm telling you, I hope they inspire you guys. You know, guys, you're probably thinking, why am I talking about women? You can actually hear about the men as well in these stories. But the main characters are the women. I want to uplift women in 2025. I want to inspire women in 2025. People that say you can't. Yes, you can. If God says you can, yes, you can. Remember my saying, if God is in it, it's a good thing. Whatever God has told you to do, guys, it's a good thing. And Jehosheba, what she done was a good thing in God's eyes. What she done was a good thing. So guys, Jehosheba was hidden. She was hidden. She was very much hidden in the Bible. And like I said, I love speaking about hidden women. But if she didn't do and fulfill this prophecy, where would our faith be today, guys? Where would our faith be today? So what role are you playing today? What important role are you playing? What prophecy are you part of? Who are you going to help in your story? Who are you going to help in your story today? You too are a child of God. You are special, you are unique, and you are chosen, and you are very much loved by your Father in heaven. So may God continue to lead, guide, and protect you. May God bless you and just make his face just to shine upon you and give you perfect peace. Amen. So I pray that this story has inspired you. I pray that this story has blessed you, because I'm telling you, it's blessed me. I've got really excited. So guys, this is the end of my video today. So like I say, have a blessed week. Have a blessed week ahead. And just be encouraged. Your story's not finished. Your story is not finished. In some cases, it's only just begun. It's only just begun. Take care, guys. Until my next one. See you all soon. Bye.